Good. Hello, my friends. Brian Talley here with Tuesdays with Talley. We have another special guest on our program. This is episode 4, Tuesdays with Talley. Again, a Sunday night special. Folks, I just want to remind you what the overall mission and the goal of this program is to bring an engaging conversation that will add value to the lives of everyday people. I just wanted to also mention too that I wanted to mention on my social media contacts for you to reach out to me if you have questions, concerns, or just want to give us a follow and share. We can be reached on Facebook at the Tally Bill, on Twitter at Tallyman_USMC. YouTube is Brian Talley, the Tally Bill, and on Spotify and Anchor FM, Tuesdays with Tally. Folks, we have a very special guest with us today, and he's just not a special guest. He's a special friend. I've known John Papai now for 30 years. 30 years on and off. We have crossed paths through high school, through hanging out at the local loaf and jug, through his rodeo days, his Marine Corps days. Folks, we welcome to the program John Papai. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, brother?
Hey, man. Another day, another dollar. I'm loving this new podcast. Episode 4. I think I'm finally hitting my stride in finding out what I can do with new hobbies and things. And you know what? What a better way to tell people stories, just like you, and add value to the lives of all folks, whether you're a veteran or not, just to the lives of everyday people. And hopefully they can pick, little things here and there that they can hear from these engaging conversations on this podcast that will help them in their everyday life. So let's jump right in. Tell us a little bit about who John Papai is.
Well, as you said, we've known each other for decades now, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Marine Corps veteran, also prior law enforcement officer. Any kind of sport, you name it, I pretty much did it. I did pro show for pro rodeo. I did Little Britches. I was even on the Marine Corps rodeo team. And of course, I think it was like just us in high school. We just wanted to keep going after it. Even, the toughest challenges, just to go after it. I think we just continued to do that. And that's how we ended up into the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And then even after that, it's like, okay, now we have a new purpose to actually help and serve others. So, heck, even most of the guys I was in ever since boot camp, I think like 30 of us ended up either going into law enforcement or fire just to continue to still serve. And
sure, yeah, that's a perfect job for a lot of Marines. I know when I joined the Marine Corps, I joined for one purpose, and that was to become a police officer. And I think that's the majority of a lot of the Marines that do go in. They need some sort of, some direction. And typically when you're in there serving your country, you begin to know that, hey, wow, there's a lot more out there that I can do, and to serve my community and go on with, a life of service. But obviously when we get out, things kind of change. I know for me they did, so I did not, take the route of being a police officer. But I know you did. So tell me a little bit about how life was when you got out of the Marine Corps, and then when you transitioned into being a police officer.
it was actually, pretty quick. It was like, I had my mindset. That's what I wanted to do, was law enforcement. So I ended up going into the police academy, and I was doing that. I think it was actually 6 days a week, which was considered at that time as part-time, just because the full-time schedule was actually, I think it was still 6 days a week, maybe, but you're going for at least 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we were only doing it 4 hours a day, but then like 8 hours a day on Saturdays. So instead of doing like a 6-month program, I think it turned into like an 8-month program or something like that. So even before I ended up graduating, I started firing out resumes everywhere that I possibly could.
Mhm.
We got picked up initially as a reserve officer with Victor Police Department, and
Victor, yeah, there's a one-horse town, huh?
yeah, exactly. You don't want to blink driving through there, you'll miss it.
Victor's a great town.
Yep,
It
man,
really
that's
is.
a talk about old history up there,
Oh
and
yeah, I love
especially
yeah.
with us being up there, that was like our party spot. Because we can shoot down the back way down towards Canyon City, and it was a great drive down there, and we'd go down and camp and have a great time and
Hmm.
pretty much get in trouble. We're not going to tell those stories live though.
Yeah, let's stay away from those, huh?
But then I ended up getting picked up with Park County Sheriff's Office, and I was
Hmm.
there for almost 9 years. Um, and then ended up having
Wait,
some
Park
issues.
County, that's like South Park stuff, right?
Exactly, and that's
Love it.
exactly
Love it.
where
I love South Park.
South Park cartoon is actually about Fair Play, Colorado.
Yes, sir. Fair play. Good old fair play. That's right next to Hartselle there too, isn't it? It's kind of like
Yep.
is that pretty close to I remember driving those.
Huntsville, I think, is like 32 miles south, if I remember the
Yeah.
mile markers. So Hartselle actually was considered to initially be the center hub of Colorado, is what they initially proposed. And of course, Hartselle is even like smaller. It's like a block, maybe 2 blocks long. And
Mm,
there's one gas station, there's no lights. It's
yeah.
literally you drive through it and it's gone. So
And
yeah,
then you
there's a
were
lot
the
of
and then you were Johnny Law.
yeah.
Johnny Law that was hiding over there behind the old loafing jug, just
Actually,
waiting
no,
for someone to cruise
I
through
never
there
did.
going at a high rate of speed.
I never did like doing that. I never liked to sit and just be a traffic cop. I didn't want to do that.
Mm.
So I was always out in the community, actually driving through the neighborhoods and driving and getting to know people than sitting there and trying to run traffic. I hated running traffic. If I was going to run traffic, it was going to be for blatant, disregard for the law, or I knew that there was an issue with a vehicle to get into something further.
True, yeah, true. I can respect that community policing. I think that's the best way to build a bridge between police officers and the communities that they serve. And I also do think that there is a time and place for, pulling traffic. But, a lot of the times when you're out there on those big US highways, that's the only way you're really going to catch a lot of those drunk and intoxicated drivers that can obviously put other drivers and other people at risk. So, I think that goes both ways. But, you had a great career, in the Marine Corps. You got out, you became a police officer. And then let's get into some of your injuries and what happened to John Pappy that would end up resulting in having 23 surgeries.
Yep. So that's just 23 surgeries on my left leg. And then initially before that, I had 2 surgeries on my right knee. So this
Oh,
all
good.
goes back into the Marine Corps. And those little water holes right behind the chow halls and the lids, take them right off. Well, I was actually behind the chow hall one day, and it was, I think, beginning of 3rd phase. So right when we're starting to do all of our extra duties to help the new recruits coming in and getting prepared for all of our presentations and all that, I ended up stepping in one of those holes and tweaked my knee.
Hmm.
I think I was only on like light duty for like 3 days, but that initially started causing me issues all the way down the road. So they gave me just one of the cheap knee braces that really didn't do much. And I kind of used it and tried to, and I just iced my knee. I just did what they said: take ibuprofen, drink water, change your socks. So I just kept doing that, just thinking, okay, yeah, it's just normal pain. I'll get over it. Well, I continued doing that even into law enforcement. Just I'll get over it. I'm just going to suck it up and keep moving forward. Well, it got to the point where I couldn't do that anymore. I couldn't even step because the pain was so much in both of my knees. So I went back to the VA, and they said I had traumatic arthritis in both knees.
Wait, here, let's scoot back a second. So you got injured in boot camp, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you got injured in boot camp, and then you would go on to do your tour in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And then once you got out of the Marine Corps, you still had these knee problems.
Yeah.
And so that led you to the VA. And let's pick up now. You get to the VA now. You're out, and what happens?
Yeah, they told me initially when I got out, I think I was rated like at 0% service connected. I'm like, great, fantastic. I don't have to worry about anything. Well, that kind of saved me in the long run, because even though I'm 0%, that service connection showed that everything did happen from the Corps, and
Correct.
it all ties back. So when I went back to ortho here in Denver, they did my right knee in 2005. Ended up having 2 scopes done on it, and I kind of should have known better at that point, because I had 2 scopes done within 3 months. And it's like, okay, everything should have been taken care of the first scope. Why would you have to go back in on a second scope to try to fix it? So I did anyways. A year later, I went in to have my left one done. Ended up getting a staph infection from the first surgery. That led into a total of 5 different types of staph infection in my knee.
I know all about staph infections, and let me tell you, they are nothing to. I mean, oh my God, they are scary, and I mean, talk about you and I are both on borrowed time right now, because sepsis and all that stuff, that things that could have definitely set into our bloodstream and literally killed us within days.
Yeah,
So
so I'm sure you probably have the same thing. So I have a vein. I don't know if you can kind of see it through here or not.
Yeah, I see it. It looks a little bruised.
That's actually from all the PICC lines just in that arm.
Oh yeah, hey yeah, brother, I got PICC line marks too, man.
Yep.
Yeah, but staph infections are nothing to shake a stick at, man. I mean, dude, that is some dangerous stuff. And man, I don't wish a staph infection on anybody, especially ones you can't see. And those are the really dangerous ones, because people will just look at you and say you're fine, But I know yours was kind of like oozing, right? It was kind of like oozing, like you could see.
It was definitely pretty nasty, and the smell was just horrible. So one of the surgeries, I actually had to slice my knee open all the way down into the joint. I had to stuff it with gauze twice a day. And the first couple times I did that, I was just in so much pain of trying to get it in. And then it started growing together and closing up. But, especially all the vancomycin that they have in your system already from the PICC lines and the infection going on, your body just like is so exhausted from it all.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
exhaustion, and you're trying to heal, and in the back of your mind, it's like there's some fear there, and
Yeah.
it raises some anxiety levels. You're trying to do everything you can to get better, and here you are now packing a wound that is oozing, and you got a pick line, and you're getting antibiotics 3 times a day, probably something like that.
Yep.
And here you are. So we get past this time. Okay, we get past this, and what happens next?
So after I had all the 5 different types of staph infection, I went to San Francisco VA because I went out to see one of the top doctors in the country in San Francisco. He actually recommended me to go back to the VA because I was still infected. The docs at the VA there actually got rid of all the infection. They cleaned my entire knee out.
Mm-hmm.
So they pumped medicine in twice a day, let it drain back out. And then I came back to Denver and had my first knee replacement done. That first knee replacement failed within the first year. The top rod was completely loose.
Okay.
So I went back in to have a revision done. So my second knee replacement. Well, I ended up having a pulmonary embolism during that surgery. I had 4 different knee replacements all fail within 6 years.
Can you explain to me and our listeners what a pulmonary embolism is?
A pulmonary embolism is actually a blood clot that starts out primarily in your legs. It ends up going into your lungs. And they can
okay.
also,
So that's something that can also be fatal, like like sepsis or something like that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it
Okay.
can definitely kill you very quickly. I mean, that if it hadn't gone to my head and my brain, I could have had a stroke and could have died right there. So,
Yeah, one of my great friends, bless his heart, he passed away over the last few years, and he had a blood clot after a surgery he had in his shoulder and his elbow. So yeah, that's some scary stuff for sure.
and it was like right after the surgery, the following, I think it was maybe a day or 2 later, all of a sudden my temperature spiked up. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. It was hard to do anything. And ended up going into the emergency room, and sure enough, they said, "Yeah, you have a pulmonary embolism. We need to get you on blood thinner right now and take care of this." So I was on I forget the name of it, but the blood thinner for a year, and that whole section of my life, because I was trying to work out every single day, trying to get as strong as I could, because they told me eventually I'm going to have an amputation in my leg. Hopefully it would last like 30 years. And, at that point, then I might look at an amputation. So I'm thinking, okay, I need to get strong and stay strong. So I was hitting the gym all the time until the pulmonary embolism. And then I wasn't able to work out. I wasn't allowed to work out. I wasn't able to do anything at all. So, that one led me that started down the deep hole, that rabbit hole. Started
Yep.
going down. And, going into this was my second marriage at the time. And I'm not going to go into details about either one of those, but, it was pretty bad. It was definitely adding on to all of the darkness and the demons, and start sending it down. And then I ended up having the multiple more replacements after that, more surgeries. And it was up to my amputation was number 22, and ended up having my amputation out at Long Beach, VA, because I was actually living in Arizona at the time, but right on the Arizona, Nevada, California line, trying to use the Las Vegas VA, but they told me that my case was too complicated, so they referred me back down to Long Beach.
Mm.
So I had to go out to Long Beach every single time for these surgeries. And that's when I had my fourth knee replacement and they told me if anything on this fails, that's it. There's nothing more that we can do.
Yeah, we got to just cut it off.
Yeah. And sure enough, I think it was like less than 6 months. Everything had failed in this knee. The top rod was loose, the femur plate was broken, the tibia plate was broken, the tibia rod I think was still some of it was still intact, but everything.
What caused all this to what? I mean, why? I mean, there was no trauma. Like,
Right.
why would all this stuff begin to just break?
Very shady hardware. I pulled up the knee replacement that they put in me, and it had the worst reviews for everything
And this was done at the VA.
at the VA.
Okay.
You would think that they would actually put a well-known, well-established knee into a young guy. Because this happened. My first replacement, I think, was 2008, I believe. So, what was that? 20 years ago? 20. What year is it? 22? So 14 years ago, something like that. Am I right? Yeah.
I mean, that sounds right. Math
Yeah.
Marines.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have all the crayons in front of me, so I can't, and I can't count my toes because I only have 5
Use your
left.
fingers, man. Just use your fingers.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we talk with our hands, so they're just considered 1 and 2.
Yeah, the old knife hand, right?
Exactly.
So regardless, you've had dozens and dozens of surgeries, failed attempts for all these surgeries, scopes, staph infections, you name it.
Yep.
We get to the point to where they say we're done operating and we're done trying to save your knee, and ultimately your leg. We have got to amputate this. So walk us through um, that news that you are going to become an amputee.
So initially, they gave me the option. They said, you can try to live with this, and you're going to be in the same amount of pain you are right now, or we can amputate, and you can go on from there. At that time, I was on the strongest narcotics that they can give me. There was no way that I could do any more narcotics to have any more relief. And I was
Yeah.
like, now would be the best time to just have it done instead of trying to hold out and see if it gets better, because it's not going to get better. I've already tried this 4 different times.
Mhm.
There's nothing else I can do. So it's like, it's time. It's now.
Yeah.
I have to have it in my mindset that this is it. This is the way it's going to be. And
To-
that's the way I look
totally.
at it.
Yeah, I mean, and you made the right decision. If not, you would be a drug addict,
Yeah.
literally sitting in a chair, wilting away, and dying a slow death because pain is insane. I struggle with pain daily. Unfortunately, it's not in the leg. I just can't hack it off. It's my spine. And but at the end of the day, by amputating your leg, it has really uh, increased your quality of life, really. And and I know it's giving you a lot of opportunities to continue on to persevere, and to be resilient in the face of tragedy, of losing a limb, of losing a leg, of losing independence in a way, and a part of you. So I mean, what was life like after the amputation and really getting it, just mentally accepting this, John Pappy now with one leg, the one-legged outlaw.
It was pretty hard to adjust to it sometimes, especially the first few months because I had so much swelling going on. and I was in a toxic relationship. So I was trying to continue to go through physical therapy and get better. At the same time, my mental status was just going downhill very quickly. So a week before Memorial Day in 2016, I decided that was it. I'd had enough. And I ended up almost, well, technically, I did die by my own hands. And it was a lot to do with the narcotics. And thankfully, for whatever reason, when I had my 40 in my hand, I ended up dropping it and didn't follow through with putting a hole in my chest. And it was hard. It was very hard. And at that point, when I woke up in the emergency room and in the hospital, I said, it's time. I'm tired of dealing with this. I can't deal with negative emotions anymore. I can't deal with the toxic relationships anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I'm done. I cannot keep doing this. And I think it was like maybe 2 months later that we had a Silkies hike in Colorado Springs. And I went on that hike just to bond with, all the Marines again, all of our veterans again.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my story about I had gone through. And I realized at that point, that telling my story might have a greater impact on helping others to see that they can go through a lot and get through it and not have to go down that dark rabbit hole.
Exactly. And that they're not alone. I know when I was going through my years of hell, I self-isolated. I tuned the world out. I sat in a chair for years, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. People would reach out to me and I would just ignore them because I was insanely depressed, and in ways that I had nothing left to give.
Yeah.
And one day, such as yourself, I was 99% done, but I had 1% left to give. And I had that moment as well as you that says, hey, man, shit or get off the pot. What kind of a life are you going to live? Are you going to be alive in 30 days? Are you day to day? And I was. And I said, nope, I choose to live. I choose my family. I choose to become 1% better. And that's what I promised myself, just 1%. Sometimes it was just getting out of my chair and walking to the freaking bathroom and back. But I did something more than I did that last day. And that's what it takes to start to build, to change your life, is that first step. It is that 1%. And then you build, you build, you build, you build, and you build. You said something that resonated with me, and that is absolute truth. You said you were going through all this and the pain was too much. The toxic relationship, if you know this, when you are sad, it absolutely intensifies the pain. And I know that to be true. Once you accept to be happy and to live a life of gratitude, the pain will start to go away a little bit, because your body, the chemical reactors in your body will actually help to fight that pain. And it's not going to take away all the pain. Look, I still have to take close to 20 pills a day total, out of 12 different pill bottles that are not all related to pain, but the majority of them are. And I've accepted that. It's better than 40, that I was on for years. So, sometimes it's 12, but, a lot of the times, it's 12 to 20, whatever it may be, but there's still pain there. But to improve your quality of life, to improve your, again, have a gratitude about life, to know that you're going to move on in a positive direction. You are going to get 1% better. You are going to persevere. You will be resilient to the deck of cards that has been dealt to you, and you will manage that, and you will live the best life that you possibly can through the hardship, that you had found that was hitting you dead square in the chest, literally.
Absolutely.
John
And
Pappy, you have done so much in your life, and I'm so proud of you. But I want to get to this now because these shows have only got to be a certain amount of time to really get folks engaged in watching this whole entire thing. And I want to just turn people on to you and how they can help you now in your newfound birth, right? Reborn, reinvent, and yourself. You are the one-legged outlaw. If you guys want to connect with John Pappy online, his website is www.oneleggedoutlaw.com. John is now a adaptive athlete. He's a motivational speaker, and this guy can sing some country music. Boy, I've heard this guy around the campfire. He is good. He is motivating. And I tell you what, and he's even good looking. I mean, look at that ZZ Top beard that he's got. I tell you, it doesn't get much better than that. This guy's attitude is absolutely some of the best attitudes I've ever seen from a lot of people. And this guy's been more, it's been through more stuff over the last, 15, 20 years than most people will see in a lifetime. So John, tell me where your life is now as a one-legged adaptive athlete.
no, we still have our hard days. We have days that we don't want to get up, that it's like, oh my goodness, I'm still here. I still don't have a leg, but it's not gonna do us any better. It's not gonna do us any good. So it's like, what else can I do? So I started doing, what else can I do? So I started skiing, and I started skiing with my prosthetic at first. And I was going through our rec therapy program with the VA. And I'm like, this is not working. I can't feel my ski. I can't feel my leg. I don't have the strength to really push myself back up. I just started skiing without it. And it took to actually start skiing on it was pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
But to actually engage into it and really start doing things on the ski, like ski racing, it's taken a long time for me to get to that point. And I'm still learning things on it. So this is now I think it's my third racing season, technically. The first season was kind of cut short next to COVID. So now I am going for it. I am training as hard as I can to, to try to become better than I was last year in my times and move up in the rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And I have goals that I want to hit those goals, and I want to be accountable on those goals. So I keep pushing myself. So it's not only with being an alpine ski racer, but I also play wheelchair basketball. What else was I doing?
Hey, you were out in Phoenix with a friend of mine, actually, just a couple of weeks ago.
Yep. Yeah, we had our National Veteran Wheelchair Games down there, primarily put on by the PVA, Paralyzed Veterans of America. And yeah, there's a lot of great guys that come down. This year was actually, didn't seem like it was a lot more. And I think it's just because of all the COVID stuff still going on, just because of the regulations. But seeing some of these guys that you haven't seen, and like some of them I haven't seen in 4 years, and just running back into them and meeting new faces, putting names to faces, and actually meeting people in person. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah,
And
that camaraderie. The camaraderie is awesome.
Yep, because we all have the same mindset. We're all there doing the same thing, and it doesn't matter what our disability is, or we still go through the same types of things every day. We still have to take our meds. We still have to get up and fight in the morning. We still have to do this. We still have to do that. We still have to play the what if games, and okay, what if I'm stuck in my wheelchair? What am I going to do next?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can still do it. I can still move on. So I mean, it just even happened, a week and a half ago. I ended up crashing pretty hard during training up in Mount Hood and kind of tweaked my stump a little bit. So I made the phone call. I'm like, talk to the rep therapist. I'm like, hey, I need to start looking at getting a mono ski because I know it's going to take a while. And I know eventually I'm going to end up being forced into it because I won't be able to ski on one leg forever. So we have to play these future games with ourselves and, get things set up with the VA to have things in place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, it's a learning experience, but we have to do it. We don't have another choice.
I think the adaptive athlete program for you was the number one thing you could have done. I know you're a competitive guy, from your rodeo days. I mean, you were good at that. You're a good Marine, you were a good police officer. Everything you've ever really touched has been successful. And like I said, that competitive nature gives you that purpose, and the purpose leads to passion. And I think that you're definitely on the right path here. And you're hanging out with like-minded individuals, that go through the same process as you. When you go to the store, when you go out in town, how do you get around? Are you in a wheelchair, or do you have a prosthetic leg that you walk with?
Yeah, most of the time I'm just using my prosthetic. Most of the time it's just an elbow rest for me when I'm sitting around.
Hey, turn that up now. Show our viewers.
So this is it's a. So this is my prosthetic.
Holy smokes!
But it does have a lock on it, and I'm
Good.
so.
I can't hear you now.
Oh.
There you go.
So it's just a prosthetic, and to me, I don't have it in my head that I'm disabled. I'm just missing a leg.
Sure.
And yeah, there's times that it's like, oh my goodness, I got to get this thing off. I can't walk with it. It's painful.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the parking helps out, but when I'm out doing things, I don't have that mindset of I'm disabled. I am able to. I am able to do pretty much everything I want. I can swim, I can shoot, I can ski, I can play basketball. I can pretty much do everything I want. Skydive, done that. So I can still do everything that I
You
want
do
to.
it all. Yeah,
Exactly.
you're just missing a leg. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to walk with a prosthetic? You say it hurts sometimes. Does it rub? I mean, does the bottom part of it rub? Do you have feeling there?
Yeah, I still have the phantom pains that, I don't know when they're actually going to go away, if they're going to go away. Some people have phantom pains for most of their lives.
Now, can you explain what a phantom pain is?
So the phantom pain is your brain still sending the nerve firings off to, wherever your limb is at. So, it's sending your nerve transmitters, I guess, or whatever, down to your foot. So every time that it's sending in, I can feel the sensation kind of like pulsing, and it's always just kind of pulsing.
And that happens at the stump part. It
It's not so much at the stump. So I can feel, like, even sitting here right now, I can still feel my toes. I can feel the bottom of my foot. I can feel my calf. I can feel my heel. All those feelings are still there, even though there's nothing there. I mean, I can look down and see that there's nothing there. I can tell my mind
through the prosthetic, you feel this energy.
and whether I'm wearing my prosthetic or not. When I'm
Wow.
walking around, it actually puts more pressure onto my stump. So when I'm actually engaging, then I really don't feel it too much because
Mhm.
it's kind of playing tricks onto my mind, saying that it's still there, it's still going. The ones that really stink is they're kind of like zingers. So all of a sudden it'll send a hard fire down to down to my foot, and it'll do it like every second. And it feels like my toes are exploding every single time that it happens. And those happen maybe once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks. So it's getting better. And when I talked to another Marine when we were out in Vermont, he was like, it actually moves up. So wherever
Mhm.
your feeling is at, it actually grows closer to your end of your stump. So instead of
Mm.
feeling like it's all the way down on the ground, now it's actually shrinking up and it eventually should go away. So
Mm.
hopefully it'll go pretty quick.
Has has this created a snowball of other injuries? Say, for example, your spine. Has it thrown off your gait at all to where one leg doesn't quite equal the other leg, so now you're getting pain maybe in your back and your neck? Perhaps sciatic nerves going in the other leg. I mean, can you explain that even though the leg is gone, right? The one that we've had all the problems on, has it created issues in other places?
Yes. So if your prosthetic isn't set up correctly, and our bodies still grow, the stump shrinks, there's all these different variations. So it starts if you're just off just a little bit, then it'll start throwing your gait off. So it starts putting more pressure into your hips, which affects your lower back, which affects everything else.
It affects everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Like with my spine, your spine is your life. And once you have a damaged spine, there's really nothing that can be done, especially when, you're trying to prevent paralysis and stuff like that from happening. So, I definitely, wish you good health here and healing with where you currently are right now. And as an adaptive athlete too, you're crashing. I mean, you're hauling butt down these ski slopes and you're pushing it. I know you are a outlaw. You are the one-legged outlaw and you have no fear, and that's who makes John Pappy. This guy was riding bulls as a kid and through the Marine Corps. I mean, this guy right here, man, this is as tough as they get. I mean, this guy is all grit right here. But look, I want to let the viewers know how they can help you. You're wanting to get to like Chile, right? Like, aren't you wanting to go on a big trip here coming up?
Yeah, so we have our training is going to continue with our Chilean Paralympic team.
Mhm.
With our team that we have, we're going to go down to Chile and train down there for 2 weeks before our season actually starts back here in Colorado. So the plan is to actually head down from, I believe, September 7th through the 20th and, train down there and then come back and then start hitting it hard. And then I believe our first race is up in Canada right around Thanksgiving again. And then we just start hitting it. And then I believe that we're supposed to have the World Championships. I think they're in Spain. Our schedule has not been released yet, as everything's
Mhm.
kind of changing over from the IPC, which is International Paralympic Committee, to FIS, which is the International Federation of Skiing. So we don't have an official schedule out yet for us to see. I know that they already have it planned out, but it's not just hasn't been posted yet. So, but that's the goal. I want to go as hard as I can because My main goal is making the Winter Olympics in Turin, Italy in 2026. And for me to do that, I have to make myself reach these other obtainable goals and just basics of my performance for myself to get better.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I think that's driven into both of us is we always have to keep pushing forward.
Oh, absolutely. Forward march.
Especially it's always one step at a time.
Or one hop at a time.
Right. The good thing is I always start out on the right foot.
I like it, man. You are the man. Glass is always half full with John Pappy. Folks, he's got 3 weeks. We've got 3 weeks here. He's doing a fundraiser. And I want to help get this man to Chile to do some training with the Chilean Olympic team down there, and to make some lifelong memories. This guy's been through enough hell in his life, and I know, folks, that even a $5 donation would definitely help this man achieve his goals, and for him to continue on his mission. And his mission is just not him. He helps others too. He helps other veterans. He collaborates every single day with everyday people, again, to add value to their lives. In this broken world, John is a light. John is a light. This man, I can testify, is a big heart. He is extremely silly. He's happy-go-lucky, but I tell you what, if you were going to open up your wallets today and donate, this would be a man that I would definitely say, absolutely, your donations will be well spent and they will be well received. And I know he would open, his arms with sincere gratitude for anybody that may be willing to donate. Like I said, even if it's just a few dollars, the best way to get this donation over John Pappy today is on Venmo. And on the screen right here, right now, his Venmo account is at John Pappy, P-A-P-A-I, John Papai. Now, your big goal is Italy in 2026. Now, I think that could totally happen. So after you go to Chile, after you kick butt here in this 2022-23 season, and you keep winning medals in the veteran community and keep bettering yourself, what does 24 and 25 look like? I mean, are there other events around the world that you can enter in, or is there other events in the country that you'll continue to enter in? Or is this just one time here, one time here, one time here?
Yeah, it's a continuous racing schedule, that goes on year round, because obviously when one hemisphere of the world has winter, the opposite does not, and vice versa. When we have summer, Chile, for instance, is having their winter. So the racing schedule kind of fluctuates with that schedule and just travels with the seasons. So I know, like the U.S. team, U.S. Paralympic ski team, most of those guys I think are over in Sweden, if I remember correctly. There's a lot of guys that I train and race with. I see them every day, and we had a lot of guys that actually just got bumped up onto the U.S. team to start competing for the U.S. So my option to actually do that, the possibility is there. I just have to make it happen. I have to make sure that, like I said, my goals are met every single day, that I'm pushing myself every single day just to be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all we can do, man. I mean, that's it. What type of advice do you have for our listeners out there? Is there any life advice that you can give? I mean, look, the mission for me, why I was out on a walk a couple weeks ago, and God sent me a message. And when he sends me messages, I am all ears. and it doesn't happen very often, but I get a lot of signs, a lot of time and he said, it's time. You're going to start a podcast, and we're going to guide you, and we're going to walk you through it. And here I am off and running 2 weeks later on my, fourth interview, and I've got, 30 other guys lined up, and this has become a newfound passion. All of a sudden, I am so excited about life once again, and have this new hobby. And I know it's just so, it feels so good to be in a good place, and I want you to tell our listeners, what is some good life advice? And because like I said, my listeners here, we're just everyday, average, hardworking Americans that just want to hear truth, that just want to know, like, hey, I could relate with this guy. I can't relate with Tom Cruise. I don't know Tom Cruise. I can relate with him through Top Gun, but his problems aren't my problems. What he makes per year is not what I make per year. We're bringing like-minded people into a conversation where people can feed off of each other and say, I've got something in common with this guy. And the life advice he just gave me right now is going to help me. It's going to help me be a better man. It's going to help me be a better father. It's going to help me be a better son. Whatever it may be. What does John Papai have to say to these folks out here on our ending message?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that no matter what we go through, sometimes it's not really for us. God knows our path already. We have our morals, we have our ethics, we have all of our values set up, and we have our faith. But sometimes what we go through isn't for us, because he knows that we're going to get through it. It's not really for us. Yeah, we're learning from it. We're dealing with it. We're living it every single day. It's for others to actually hear, to make their lives better and to try to push themselves. That was the best advice that was given to me. And I've tried to continue that and continue to pass it forward. And that's the biggest thing, is being a light to others and giving back to others. And it doesn't matter what we're doing in life. Like, for instance, even though I'm still doing all this stuff, I still volunteer with the NSCD to help people with disabilities to learn how to ski on their own. So we're always giving back. We always have to give back to others. And it doesn't matter if it's your kids, it doesn't matter if it's your spouse. You have to serve others. You have to give back to others.
Give more than you receive, and it always feels better to give than it does to receive, because those are gifts. Those are gifts, and they are very heartwarming gifts too, especially your time and your service. Those are some of the best gifts that you can give, is simply your time and your attention. It doesn't need to be in monetary type value. Listen, John, this has been a great conversation. I'm really excited for you and where you're taking this adaptive athlete program, and your skiing and trying to go worldwide with this, and having the big goals that you have. I'm proud of you, as a friend and as a brother, and you're just kicking life's ass, man, one day at a time. So, again, folks, if you want to help John Papai get to Chile and to compete there and to practice with the Chileans, donate now to John at his Venmo at John Papai. John, look, it's been great having you on, and we wish you nothing but the best here in your future endeavors, and hope to have you on again very soon, so you can tell us how Chile went.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, heck, we go back for so long, with so many years and so many different experiences, and it seems like our storyline together has kind of mirrored so much of it for
Yeah.
so long.
Yeah, life is wild, man. I mean, yeah, we're like living our third or fourth life right now. It's just, all these different. I was a Marine custom landscaper and never thought I'd ever not be in the custom landscape industry again. And then, of course, 2016 put me on my knees and kept me there for years. And then we have both been through these nightmares. But look, we're coming out swinging. We are the example of perseverance and resilience and strength through determination. And I want to end on this. Tuesdays with Tally, the mission and goal of this podcast is to bring an engaging conversation that will add value to the lives of everyday people. Be sure to follow us on Spotify and Anchor FM, Tuesdays with Tally. Also connect with us right here on Facebook at The Tally Bill or my personal page, The Tally Man. So, and we're also on YouTube, Brian Tally, The Tally Bill. This has been a Sunday night special brought to you by John Steelman Photography. John Steelman Photography, based in Houston, Texas, for all of your photography needs. I will be leaving John Steelman Photography's information on this show in the comment box. Folks, have a great evening and have a great week. Goodbye.